Here we go. And I'll just give our friends, I see Vix Rum is in the house. Get you up on stage. Hello,
Thanks, Hefe.
hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me just make sure we're live and all the audio is looking good. See the friends coming here in the chat. We're going to be live streaming here today, and we have a pleasure to introduce you to the Gotchi gang here. We had a great conversation the other day around AI-powered DAO management solutions. So I think this is going to be a really good conversation today. And so if you just give me a minute, I'm going to make sure that the audio is sounding good and everything's coming through. We are streaming to the Aavegotchi DAO YouTube channel. So I'm going to drop the link to that. And that's a first for me to be streaming there. And we don't have any subscribers yet. So give us a follow, give us a sub. And this is where all the Aavegotchi DAO content will be getting populated from now on. And I'll drop the link for you guys for the live stream. A lot of windows to manage here. Okay. Live stream is in the chat. If you guys want to see me live, we're live streaming with Vix Rum here. Is your partner going to be joining us? I see Amanek is in the audience as well. Amanek, if you want to, if you put your hand up, I'll get you up on stage here as well. Cool. Welcome. So today we'll be going through DAO Manager, DAO Lens, and kind of giving folks here a little run through on what you guys are working towards and what kind of solutions you're developing for DAOs. So maybe we can start with a little introduction of who you guys are and how DAO Lens started. Amanek, I'm not able to hear you. You might have to check your audio settings.
I'll go ahead in the meanwhile.
All right.
Thanks for putting everything together. Hey, everyone. This is Vikram. I'm the co-founder and the CEO at DAO Lens. And we have, for a large part of the last year, been building exclusively for DAOs. Though I have been in the space since 2015, I was previously at Merkle Science as the AVP of product, and I have a traditional product and design background. It's somewhere moved into being all about growth, communities. Initially, as can be expected, crypto was just a thing on the side. Merkle Science was where I eventually professionally entered the world of crypto. And for those of you who don't know what Merkle Science is, it essentially is crypto forensics and like blockchain compliance. As in, if somebody does a rug pull, you want to trace it, you'll go to the FBI, but they're going to need some tools to track the criminal down. Or if you are trying to like route funds for illicit purposes, those wallets, those transactions, those patterns, they all get flagged. So that was what I built for like over a year. And then DAO Lens happened. It's a very interesting story of how that came about to be, which I would probably park for now. But yeah, that's a real quick background. What we do at DAO Lens is essentially like we have built multiple tools. It's like a suite of tools that we have sort of collected. And today we are just going to talk about the one that is like taken the maximum blood and sweat from us, because I believe over the last 7-8 months, we have gotten in touch with at least 300 plus DAOs who have gotten involved in some way or the other. There are over 400 communities that are live today on DAO Lens, out of which we see a good amount of activity in over 100 of them. So there are a lot of things that we are also learning as all of it has happened. And DAO tooling is so saturated that we were initially on the fence that, hey, do we really need another tool? And we ended up like running after that frustration point that we had, or that apprehension we had. So DAO Lens is slightly different, at least in its approach, as you will see once the demo kicks in. I'll pass on the mic back to you, Hefe, or if
Yeah.
Amanek, your mic is working, over to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's an interesting story of how that came to be. And, I think I did go through a whole, you know, demo the other day, and I was quite interested in how DAO Lens could be used, especially into, helping with governance and distilling conversations down to smaller, more understandable summaries, and just creating healthy discourse within DAOs, as well as being kind of a co-pilot as a DAO for a DAO manager. And so those are some of the major things I was kind of fascinated by. Specifically, the Robin AI tool as well is really interesting, and I think there's a huge opportunity there. GM, everybody, I see some people joining us here in the chat. And so today we'll be going through a little demo of what DAO Lens is, and just get some people starting to think about how AI tools like this could be really useful, and maybe even put the A in autonomous for DAOs. So I guess in terms of getting started with the demo, I can share my screen, or I believe you guys might even be able to share your screens now with the new Discord Amphitheater features, and we
Yeah,
can go through the your demo that way. I think I went through and did it myself the other day, but I think it might be easier for the audience just to see you guys show the highlights of DAO Lens and what it can really do.
sure. Sure. Let's do it that way then. I'm going to share my screen. GM, everyone. Those of you who were not here earlier. Uh, 1 second. I'm just seeing
Yeah.
entire screen,
What?
stage, smaller video. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yeah, it's loading up right now. Yeah, and this is going to be
Awesome.
live streamed as well to the Aavegotchi DAO YouTube channel for anybody who's missing this and wants to catch up on it later.
Perfect. So if you see my browser, I am in Brave, and I'm just going to type in the URL of the product.
Oh,
This is manage.
one second. We got a bunch of people in here. If they want to follow along and create their own profile and community and whatever, and mess around with you as we're going along, are they going to be able to do that? Can we drop a link in the stage
Yeah,
chat for these
absolutely.
folks?
Absolutely. So I'm simply actually gonna copy this and drop it in the chat,
It's on the
which is
right corner there. Yeah. So drop
yeah,
it.
it
Yeah, exactly. And so, friends, if you're in here and you want to follow along and mess around while we're going through this demo, feel free to do that. I was doing that the other day and creating my own community, working through the tabs. It's actually the best way to get to understand what this actually is. But or you can
yeah,
just watch. Mhm.
absolutely. And at any point in time, feel free to stop me. I'm actually gonna take you through the demo in a way that we are creating a new community. So for that, I'm gonna log out. If you are first time, you would most likely see like this, and you'd be prompted to like log in. So anytime you do something, right, like you will see there are a bunch of communities. These are all the communities that are live today on DAO Lens. If you keep clipping on load more, you will probably end up seeing over a 300 of them. You can filter it by like categories. You can try like keyword search. There are some guides at the very bottom. This is just sort of like a discovery page, right? Like, so you could go about doing anything, or else you'll be prompted to log in. As soon as you're prompted to log in, you will see this sort of a pop-up, right? Like, feel free to use any of these options. Because we are talking on Discord and my account previously created is on Discord, I'm just gonna, but there is really no difference uh, in like picking any of those routes. Now you see there is like a bunch of other communities that appeared, and they appeared here because I'm a part of them, right? Like, so we were originally on the Discover page, which you see here, and now there are a bunch of other communities that I'm a part of. So the first thing to really understand is like this is a community that somebody in the world has created, right? Like give it. And I can go in here. I can see what's really happening. I can browse through the discussions, except that I really can't do anything here because I am not yet a member. Or for that matter, even if I just go in and see, the only app option I see is to leave the community, right? Like that's because I'm not even an admin. So I could pretty much go on and browse through whatever is happening because Giveth has chosen to keep things open,
Okay,
right?
so that's the
Some
choice. You could choose to just make it completely private and then just have specific permissions for gating, right?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if you're like really wondering how do you go about starting your own community, I'm just gonna come to that in a bit. But these communities that you see here, right? Like the first thing to understand is that if you are a part of like multiple communities, you could all of them here, and you'd never have to go to any platform to like figure out, hey, what is it really that's concerning me? Has somebody pinged me? Has there been a bounty that I submitted and somebody commented on it? Right? Like so that sort of like solves for your cross community problem, or even within a community, you can like create workspaces for guilds, right? Like so it's up to you to imagine how you really want to place things up. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm simply going to go and create a new community here from scratch, right? Like, so I go click on add a community. You will see this option, import from Discord or create from scratch. Will basically pick your community, all of your roles, members, and everything that exists in Discord, and it will throw it as a preset in the community that gets created on DAO Lens. Otherwise, create from scratch is always an option. If you go in here, it's fairly simple, right? Like you will be able to see how. So I can simply go in and say Aavegotchi demo. Sorry, Aavegotchi demo. First day. Let's just say that I'm probably not going to create a community. This is a description, and you can choose that, hey, this is an NFT community, this is a DAO. You can go about doing anything, right? You can select like multiple of them as well. You can add your social links, you can skip later. And as you go on, see that you end up seeing these options saying, hey, these are the 4 modules that are enabled for you by default. These are the modules that are disabled for you. Now, here is where I take a pause and explain what modules are, right? Just hear me out for a second. In a community, you have discussions happening over Discord or discourse. Once that discussion becomes a little meaningful, somebody goes and says, okay, let's vote on Snapshot or whatever platform you're using, depending on which chain you exist on. So you have switched a tool, right? Like that, when you go to Snapshot, there's voting, campaigns for those votes, whatever is going on here, there on social media, whatsoever. Once that vote is done, let's say the vote passes, there are probably 2 outcomes, right? Like you would either end up having the grant or you will end up having like a bunch of tasks. For both of those routes, you would again end up going into a tool like Dwork, or you would end up going into a tool like Trello or something like that, where you have listed these tasks or bounties, right? Then people browse through those tasks. So they browse, they make submissions. Once the submission comes in, somebody's going to review it, right? Like once a review happens, somebody's going to ask for payment. Now that payment happens over Gnosis. And then finally, the person who completed the task is going to get an NFT, right? Like, or whatsoever. It's an XP point, it's karma point, call it whatever points. You will see that ultimately what ends up happening is that you end up jumping between set tools just to function at the bare bones level.
Kind of challenge that we've adopting any one of these tools fully is that all these tools cover a specific aspect, like bounties really well, but there's over between the tools, but none of them actually are able to address all tools together and bring them together as one cohesive system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, precisely. And that is why, like these modules that you see, so where, for example, you see something like proposals, what we do is we understand that snapshot is a good tool.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, yeah, it's not necessarily that we would always go in and build a custom product just because we are building DAO. But in that case, when it comes to proposals, we integrate so deeply with snapshot that whatever you do there reflects here, whatever you do here reflects there. It's basically snapshot living within DAO. Similarly with Gnosis, which is like brilliant in terms of payout, but we don't stop there. If you want to use Llama Pay, if you want to use Coordinate, whatsoever, all of those payouts are also available here. So in that case, I would go in and switch on my bounty module. I would switch on my proposals module. And then I realized that, hey, you know what? I'm probably not really going to do anything for event. So I switch it off. Basically, DAO is like an aggregation. You see, this are the modules that you really need access to within the community. You can switch it on and off. And that is why it's so beautiful that DAO can look like a classroom for somebody who has disabled everything and just enabled courses. Courses is like training people, something like giving them certification. Or it could look.
So for example, if I was a Aavegotchi community member and I wanted to just start offering courses in my own little side guild or whatever, Aavegotchi education or whatever, I could just turn on a courses module in my profile for my community, and I would just be managing courses.
Yes, absolutely. But and this is at a workspace level, Hefe. It's not at your profile level. It's at a workspace level. So you would end up creating a workspace that is all about courses.
Right. Okay.
Awesome. And you can simply go ahead next. I'm gonna actually, and that's it. Like you can go about integrating Discord, connecting Snapshot, because we selected proposals. You can enable Discord notifications. A bot will actually go and ping people every time a new activity happens here in Discord as well, so that you have more and more people coming over to the platform as well. And there are like a bunch of other integrations that are supported. As soon as I click on done, the community will launch, but there's no point of like doing everything from scratch. So I'm just gonna go back and pick a community that has already been created where I am an admin, because I want to show you the function. I was gonna pick DAO, and I am in DAO. So now you see, like here, you remember we were trying to do it for give with, and I did not see any options. Here I see settings. I click on settings, I go into visibility, and I can see that everything has been switched on here except for projects, right? Like, so I could go on and switch projects. Now that essentially means I'm going to skip all of these because these are fairly straightforward. Like, which tool are you going to use for payment, or what payment method are you going to use? Are you going to integrate things here? One cool functionality, however, to highlight here is that there is this functionality of importing from Discourse. So if you have a community already on Discourse and there's a dump of data, it's very valuable. You should never lose it.
That's been a big concern about deprecating our Discourse, is because we do have a more active Aavegotchi DAO Discord, but the Discord goes back like almost 2.5 years worth of conversation that we would be somehow we would have to retain that somehow, and there's people that still like using Discourse as well. There's a small community of Discourse users that will just they'll post their article in Discourse and then just link it in the Aavegotchi Discord because they still enjoy using that platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And as soon as you click on import, it's just gonna like ask you to have to connect your Discourse account, and it barely takes minutes to import all the data. Of course, if there's a lot of data, the import process may take a while, but it's barely 2 to 3 clicks, and you can do anything for that matter here. Like you can go in and say, hey, what sort of notifications? The settings are fairly straightforward.
Right.
Now I'm coming back here. You see, I just switched on projects, which is why projects have become visible. So this is what I meant by modules, right? Like now I am within DAO lens here, right? And what I'm seeing is that this is an overview page, right? Like, so I'm in the overview, I'm looking at everything. There's an invite member link. If I scroll down, because I'm an admin, I have the ability of announcing to everyone in my community. Those announcements are like broadcasts. So there is one created for this session that we are doing, or you could simply go create a new announcement from scratch, decide who or when it gets expired, and so on, right? Like then there are community documents. You will see a lot of communities creating Notion documents, Google Docs. It becomes a jungle as the more and more people start coming in.
Documentation has been a big concern for our DAO, and keeping documentation in one place, for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we have a separate section for it altogether as well, because we realized that when we were talking a bunch of other DAOs. So we'll come to that in just a bit.
I don't want to jump ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's in prompts in between, because that's like giving me a pulse on everybody's behalf as well. Thanks, Hefe. In the members tab, it's fairly simple. You can simply see who these members are, which level they are on, what XP points they are on. Now I'm going to connect this later on to all the other pieces of the product. So just keep this in mind for now. What I'm going to do is actually show you a bunch of things that are really, really, really cool, right? Like, so for example, we were just talking about Discourse, right? Like, and the first mod integrated or developed was Discourse, and they realized that there were problems with Discourse. The problem was that the channels were pretty much open to anyone, and it was like very tough for you to sort of have restricted conversations with only some people, right? Like, so what we did, and this is our exact improved version of Discourse, it exactly looks like that. You have channels here. You can go about creating a new channel. You have one post. You go inside a post. You can comment on that post. You can upvote it, drop images, do whatever you want, right? Like you can pin things, hide things, like you can do a bunch of stuff. But let's just go in and see how this channel is created and why we said that we were trying to be a little different from Discourse. If I go in and create a new channel, and let's say I just call it a demo channel, I have gating presets here, right? Like the gating preset is that, okay, make it visible to everyone. And that option should always be there. Or for that matter, I could simply go and then say, hey, I want to do a custom gating. Now here is where it gets interesting. As soon as I click custom gating, I have a bunch of options. I can gate. By the way, gating is applicable for everything you are seeing on the screen. You can gate a project, you can gate a message, you can gate a bounty, you can gate a document, you can gate an event, you can gate whatever you really want,
It's really,
honestly.
I guess it's flexible in that sense, you know, like there's there's like more granular ways of everybody from the Aavegotchi disk this specific role could have
Yes.
access to this discussion, for example.
Yes. Simply go in and say Discord role, and then I select the roles that I want to give, like that I want people from that role to like sort of have access to this channel. I could go some whitelisted addresses. I could do an NFT gating, and here you can do it for like everything, right? Like for ERC 1155. That it is so scalable because you could come and say, hey, I want people with a panda trait in my NFT to hang out, right? And it would automatically place those people in a group. Or that matter, you see this level here or bounty. What ends up happening is you will often come across these needs in community where you're going and saying, hey, I want my community to like, or I want this message to only be visible with people who are like proved
Yeah,
contributors,
I
right?
mean,
Like, which means
I could give you an example of where maybe something like this could be used within Aavegotchi community. It could be like we have Aavegotchi guilds, and a lot
yeah,
of the guilds have adopted specific kinds of wearables for to represent their guild. So you know they might pirate wearables guild, and they're gonna have all their pirate wearables. So what you could do maybe from what I seeing here is have like guild chat spaces within the main Discord, within the main the main forum there. You could have, you know, everybody needs to be token gated by a pirate hat to be in this conversation, you know, because it's part of the pirate guild.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's like a very obvious thing which we can solve using this. In fact, like we have seen people get very creative and say that, hey, in fact, in some gaming communities, people often do this that as people, let's say, if it's a game that involves killing, as you have more kills, you earn points. And with more points, you go on and have some exclusive offers, some exclusive NFTs, some exclusive discounts on merchandise available for people. You can like do a bunch of interesting things here with that. But this makes it so flexible because I can sort of like change everything here. I don't even know if there are only 3 discussion channels. There may be many more to which I don't have access to, right? Like, and within a channel, what's even more interesting is you see this thing moving here. This is where we have added the AI bit.
I really get intrigued. So I mean, yeah, if any part where I got really amazed really kind of brings a lot of this together.
Thanks, Hefe. We've been hearing really encouraging comments from everyone around the world. In fact, I'll just show you what the version 2 of this is going to look like. We're working on it. So I'm in a channel, right? Like let's establish this. I'm in this channel that's called Ethereum. I'm here. It starts giving me a bunch of prompts that I could ask it to do, right? Like I could ask it, or I could simply go in and type saying, hey, summarize the last 2 posts for me, or last
Okay.
3 posts for me. Go for it, right? Like, and I simply go hit enter. It's going to take a while. It's inspired from the Robin from Batman. So we have some really funky
Nice.
messaging here to like keep people engaged. But essentially, you should see, oh, great. Didn't work in the demo when it's supposed to work.
That's when
So,
things usually go. Yeah, yeah. You know, that's when it's gonna happen. But that, you know,
no, no, no,
these
let's,
things are. These
it
things
could
are.
be
Go ahead. Sorry.
summarize the last 3 posts for me. Let's see. I think it also depends on the data that's really existing. And I see that these channels, they have like 6 or 7 messages. So it ends up like giving up when there is like not enough data, as in like if there are not more than 25 or 30 posts, it would ultimately just say that, hey, and I hope it works here.
So does this Robin
Let's
model, does it learn from the posts that are coming through? Like, for example, if I wanted to say, tell me what happened with this issue 3 months ago. Like, tell me about this post 3 months ago because we're starting to talk about it again. Summarize that for me. What were we talking about again? And would it actually
yes,
tell you?
yes, it would. So see, here it's simply saying envisioning a lot of use cases for Robin here. And this is just like one of modules that we have covered so far. How, how are you feeling, Hefe?
I'm feeling good. I mean, I was just having some connection issues with my stream. We're still very much experimental stage with this live stream software that I'm using. But I think we're gonna be good. We can keep going, and I'm gonna just deal with this on the back end. I just have to switch something around.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So now I'm not actually going to take a lot of your time because some of these things are fairly straightforward, but I still want to show you some important pieces, right? Like bounties are obviously one of the most important things that we have been seeing communities across still trying to figure out how do they tackle bounties. We also support bounties, except that we have done. So here is a bounty which says share a tweet by Dowlands, right? Like if you share the tweet on Robin by Dowlands, you will easily earn 100 XP points. Like I can go in and tweet and verify. It's going to ask me to tweet it, right? Like I'll have to see the tweet. My Twitter is already connected. So I can go in and say, okay, view the tweet, right? Like it's out. So I'm simply going to go and say, okay, second. Awesome. So you see now I just submitted it and it ends up like coming in here as a submission that I have done. For example, if I go back in here, bounty at ETH Denver, you can go in and see that there were 3 people who submitted it, right? Like, and in bounties where you need to like really review things, you can actually go in and see that who gets to win. If there's only going to be one winner, multiple winners, you could actually like give it away to everyone. And as this was in this case, I have already claimed the 200 XP points. So it's as simple as that. You don't really have to go to Gnosis saying, hey, here is my submission. Here is where I finished all of your requirements. Can you initiate a payment? In fact, we are working on automating everything. And not just that, you can have this here. So I can go in and say, hey, could you clarify when we'll be paid? Or is it automatic, right? Like something like that. You could have discussions on it. People could reply to you. You could like have those emoji reactions and everything. But one really interesting thing is this button here, right? Like this button you will see everywhere in the UI. What we realized was like if I am working on a bounty bounty, let's say I go to something that's been completed. Okay, it looks like a dummy thing. I don't know why this bounty was created. Like there are 13 submissions. And if I just keep working on it on my own, most likely I'm going to make a mistake of doing or working without enough context. So what this thing does is like it's a contextual history for you.
Hmm.
So usually when communities start creating things, you will see that there is a post that has been linked to, if I just go
Like
in and
kind of,
say,
it's kind of like saying like, why is this bounty here? So you're going back and you're able to get more context. Like, okay, there's this
yes,
conversation, then there was a proposal where this bounty was linked to, and now this bounty is being paid out from that pool that was
spot on,
assigned to that team. You know,
spot on. You
yeah.
just like took and see now if I come here, I can see that, okay, there have been like a sequence of discussions that took place, right? Like, and then this task was created. So nobody is really working in just a silo.
We've been
And
talking about bounties for months in our DAO, and I'm sure some of our people in the DAO are tired of hearing about bounties because we've been trying to find an effective system for even issuing the bounties. And I think issuing the bounties, reviewing them, and paying them are sometimes not always interlinked. The context is lost by the time you get from the initial
yeah,
Discord discussion to the proposal to by the time you're issuing the bounties. Uh, a lot of the context for what that bounty is and why it's being issued, I find, is being lost. And so I think that's where I see the big value in having a thread leading up to that bounty for someone to go back and look. Okay, well,
well,
this bounty is being offered because there was this proposal that this team had a bounty budget for, and now they're issuing that.
today itself, our team also published that you can, like, once bounties are completed, we've been getting requests of like minting NFTs and rewarding into the profiles automatically. So that's also now supported. So you could like a bunch of things using bounties. Creation is fairly simple. You can go in and say, hey, what sort of a bounty are you looking at? Because Twitter tasks, they can be automatically verified. Discord roles can be verified. Telegram, some things can't be verified, right? Like
Right.
some things are free for everyone. So you can do anything. You can go in and say, hey, which token? And we support like so many chains. In fact, one second, I'll just actually show you here in custom gating. If I just go to token, you'll see like we have Gnosis chain support here as well. We have
Mm-hmm.
Arbitrum. Like in fact, this drop down doesn't even like reflect everything that we support because we just did Aptos and like near integration and so on. And you can like actually pay people also in that. So I can go in and say that, hey, like reward with the token, and this token could also be like from any things that like
Right.
any of the chains that are supporting. So it's
Mm-hmm.
beautifully scalable that way.
Now,
Proposals are,
now I have a
yeah,
question about the XP. As I was saying before, the Aavegotchis themselves, they earn XP from voting on snapshot proposals. And so I'm
yes,
wondering if there's a way where this XP could actually be tied to XP that,
you're on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this is not even the first time I'm hearing that request. On-chain XP is something which we've already dealt with in the past. In fact, there are like multiple models. Somebody comes and says that, hey, we like, first of all, you can call it whatever. Second is sometimes it's just NFTs which have traits and that leads to reputation. And then the third is you can come and say that I want to do it custom, or you can ask us to
Oh,
fetch
cool.
what like have the ideal XP for as your like established guide, and then everything can be moved on chain. So it's all possible.
There's another
Absolutely.
process that I think could be perfected here is often a proposal passes all Aavegotchis that voted on the proposal
it's not going to work, but it's going to basically open my snapshot and ask me to like sort of, okay, let's do something. Please
Oh, you
provide
need
start date.
start date now.
Obviously, my computer is going bonkers. What? Start date should not be. Wow, I have really made it bad. Let me just fix it once, and then end date will be
Yeah,
21.
there you go.
What? Didn't I just select it? Okay, this
That should
looks
be
okay.
good.
Yes. So now it's gonna, of course, ask me to like do the basic structure. The way you basically do it on Snapshot, it's gonna ask you to sign. Uh, and I just realized that I have created a very bad looking proposal, which is gonna exist forever, which is not. Yeah, I am so sorry. My my workspace people gonna be unhappy, but it is what it is. But it's fairly like you can go browse through things. It's uh in fact we have seen communities who continue doing it on Snapshot, and because some members prefer still going to Snapshot and some members prefer coming here, which is absolutely fine by us. Like that's precisely why we went the way we went, right? Like you can see then it's also like doing all of those things that hey, you don't have this uh, voting power that you need for that matter. Now, one very important and interesting thing is spaces. It's new, but this is basically if you have guilds within your community,
Okay.
management of guilds becomes even more tougher, right? Like there is no way you can figure out what's happening. Some time to solve it. If I just go on marketing guild, right? Like I have joined it. Now marketing guild, I am within the marketing guild. You see this starts reflecting, right? Like I am within marketing guild in Dolans. I can go back to Dolans,
And you can
but now
gate this as well, right? So you can make it so that again you just need a specific token or something to get access to that space. But
yes,
gotcha.
absolutely. And then it's a world of its own. So now what we are really working on is how do we go into Dowlands and then give you flexibility of like seeing. So for example, when you go to projects, right? Like it tells you which project is like which task is in progress. It's like a GitHub view of sorts for you, where you can go in and see, hey, where are we doing? Like where is the team slowing down? If we can give you this visibility across the sub guilds for people who are like at it is awesome and similar events for that matter, right? Like so I could sync my Discord. I don't know if there's any event that has been pop. Okay, there's no new event. So if I just go to the past one, it's also with the same idea that
So all your
within a
Discord, that's really helpful because that could be, we're talking about the DAO having its own dashboard is all in one place. It could serve as that sort of dashboard where you have all your that are going to be related to Aavegotchi DAO. You're going to have your proposals you can look at, active projects, guilds that are closely involved with Aavegotchi. There'd be some courses, I guess you were saying you can make courses as well. It could also host your documents. Okay, there's a lot here.
I'm just courses are like fairly forward. Creation is equally easy, but like a created course. So here there are three things, right? Like the first is a link I have to go to. The second is like a task list. Third is a document. Once I am done with all of that, by the way, these things, if you are noticing, they continue everywhere, commenting and so on.
We could easily create a course pack saying, hey, if you want to get started with Aavegotchi DAO has back. This is our course pack. So how to do staking, how to stake your ghost.
Yeah,
to,
absolutely.
What have you, how to write a proposal.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So if I just go and like, let's say, pick something as the cover image, I do a description. It's actually going to ask me that do you want it to have a skill? Like, does the person who's going through, like this just lets people discover. You can go on and gate it as well. Like gating is there everywhere. You can define reward points. You can create a course. Of course, I have not added a title, so this is the title. And then it asks me that, hey, do you really want people to be able to like have quizzes? So you see, like it says that, hey, here add new content, right? Like, and add any content. So I can go on and say that, okay, the second one is a document. The third one, which is like a sequential step, and you have to go through that quiz like certified. So you will get an NFT automatically as you complete that course. And of course, admins can't enroll. So you can gate it saying who gets to enroll as well, right? Like documents, I think like saw it, but this basically starts becoming more meaningful as and when more documents start getting added. So it's really simple. I could simply go here and let's say I just go on and pick Robin link, or you could go on and add a Notion document or a PDF or whatsoever. Oh, sorry, I'm lost. So I go here and I go this and I go on and say Robin AI website, right? Like, and I say, go on and say this. That's it. Like this gets added here as well. So it's like, and one thing which we are really considering here is should we start supporting things like import all of your documents from Notion and whatnot, because it's really easy to do. Plus, we have seen a lot of people have like legacy documents created on Notion. Right. So overall, let's pause for a second. Let's see what we have done. We've seen overview, we quickly saw projects. It's fairly straightforward again, but I'm actually going to dive deeper into just one. So it's basically create tasks and subtasks, right? So it's like, hey, this task is in progress. This is the task name. Here's the description, and one task can have multiple tasks. You can define who gets to review, who gets like validated, and so on. Fairly straightforward. Pointers, proposals. We saw courses. We saw documents. We saw events, which is your calendar. Right. And we saw like your subguides, and then we saw the channels. Right. And the search functionality, it's like across everything. So you can just go on and type a DAO and it's going to search. Like, so you don't really have to go on and say, oh, where was it? Like, just do a keyword search. It's going to identify everything. Is there a post? Is there a proposal? Yeah. Right? Like, is there a project? And you can do by like members as well. Like, so if I just go on and type here, it should still have like really created and whatnot. Personal. So yes. Yeah. And that thing is the profile, which becomes really centric, because here you see everything that I have done, right? Like my activity. Twitter is if you really want to like have access, okay, right? Like we support that as well. You can see which DAOs I have joined. You can see which accounts I have connected. You can see where I have commented on. And in fact, we are also like, because we work with replication tools, we could show up your post. So it's like, hey, I have these task points and everything, and you could do whatever you want.
If I have a forum post, is looking at it and they're providing some feedback on it, and I want to check out, how involved is this person with Aavegotchi DAO? Is this the first post, or is this somebody who's a core community member? I just go to their profile and say, okay, this guy's done 3 bounties. He's written 4 proposals. He's earned this many task points. I'm like, all right, this guy, he's involved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That was the whole idea. And then at any point in time, if you're creating a community as we speak, you feel a question that's not answered, simply go type it out here. Amanek, myself, and 2 of my other friends, they also they are always more or less available. So if you type in a question, we're going to get back to you. If you're sleeping, we'll get back to you in like 2-3 hours as soon as we wake up, because somebody or the else covers up for most of the day. Right. Honestly, like cross DAO, because it just like saw point of having to go into like 30. And like, by the way, like these you as well. So if you need like Loom videos created, want like pre-create list of guidelines for people, you can simply ask us to like start supporting that. We do that as well today.
Right. No,
And
you've given a great overview of this whole suite that you're offering here. I think there's some really fascinating parts that people are really gonna dig into this. One of the things, I guess, my last question, really, as we're kind of wrapping up here, is what is some of the alpha? What is on the horizon for you guys at DAO? And maybe you can provide, I've been looking at your Robin AI tool, so I'm really kind of curious to know what kind of prompts you might be working on or what kind of features might be getting rolled out in the next version.
yeah, absolutely. So, in fact, like the best way to check out the prompts that we are really, really working on right now is robinai.xyz. Scroll all the way to the down and click on read more. Amanek, if you can also paste the Notion link directly. Um, it would like just tell you what are the prompts that we are immediately working on. There is actually a wait list for Robin AI, and we are trying to like do a good job of not just being another AI assistant saying, "Hey, we've done something cool," and it really doesn't work. So we're taking our sweet time there, but essentially it's because we are also handpicking a few communities who want to go live with. I don't want to jump ahead of like myself here, but we have been working with like somebody like Maker and so on as well, even though there's like a big gap between where we are right now and to actually getting it deployed in Maker, or for that matter, the likes of people at Polygon or Gitcoin. But the goal has been like, could we go on and tell you that, hey, compare my strategy A with strategy B,
Yeah.
right? Like Maker, for example, was coming and saying, could Robin tell me what are the good things that I need to do, or like what are the things I immediately need to do if I had to make DAI a global currency, right? Like now that's incredibly tough. Like that when I hear it, I get scared because I don't know how effective it's gonna be. But actually, we are working on those prompts. At the same time, Dowlands is like a collection of modules, so we are always creating new and new and new modules. The way it usually works is if you have a community, you have some request, we sit with you to evaluate, and we have these requests coming in on a regular basis, so we just map it out in a way that the solution can be scaled to like someone else as well. So now we are seeing like one of the very interesting problems which we are dealing with is like some guilds which are self-sufficient, they don't necessarily want all the context available to everyone, right? Like
Yeah.
but they still want all the functionalities to be here. So how do you really take care of that? Recently, I have started working on an app that's gonna be more friendly for like all of these crypto get-togethers that you do. For example, like have an NFT gated access to the local guide in Denver when you're going to ETH Denver and whatnot, right? Like so, there is like a bunch of experiments that are going on. We are also working on the market end for like gathering insights based on conversations. So, for example, my biggest focus area after 10 days is going to be figuring out how I can make the life of an admin easy. For example, Hefe, you could come in and say, hey, I want to publish to Telegram and Discord at the same time, and I want to know how many people interacted with it. Or you have a community of like 50,000 plus people. You want to leverage it. You want to leverage it for your go to market. This applies even to Web2 communities, by the way, but highly, highly, highly undefined for Web3 ones, where you have go to market solved for pretty much every stream, like phone calls, emails. Those are the traditional things that have existed for over 20 years. Everyone today has a community and they don't know how to leverage. Like, if I want a price point discussion, who should I talk to in my community? If I
Hmm.
want a feedback on a particular feature that has to do with governance, who should I talk to? So, creating those profiles of people you could reach out to, that's also a very hot experiment from our end. And Mushashi, for your question, is it open source? It's not entirely open source, but like a large extent of the product is open source. And the reason it's not entirely open source is because we build these modules in very close collaborations. Of course, like devs from the other end of the community are also involved. But like if you go in and look at how the discourse functionality or the gating functionality works, the code is 100% like available for anyone to read and like work on. It's just that there are certain problems that we faced when we made it open source because people would just like tweak it, and we realized that we would have to do a good job of figuring out how do we like sequentially take inputs from everyone. So if you really have an idea for your own module, we could spin off an environment for you where you have access to it. Or I would be like, I'm actually very interested in like learning more about the new modules that we could add, because that was
Yeah.
the whole point, that DAO be able to like support all the modules in the world.
Yeah, I'll say,
Uh,
Musashi is one of our big brain, technically inclined users, Aavegotchi participants or community members. And so, yeah, I think he probably love something like that.
yeah, absolutely. And you have me like, I'm at the rate Vix_rum everywhere. Twitter, Telegram, Discord. Ping me anywhere. Like you have a question, you are stuck using DAO Lens. Uh, Great, Mushashi. Looking forward to it. But basically, like whatever I can help you with, more than happy to do. I'm on a personal mission this year to shake hands with as many people as possible in the world, to sort of like just ensure one thing, that if you're working on a problem related to DAOs, you at least think about DAO Lens for once. Not because we want to like build all the solutions in the world, but because I think that is how we'll probably be able to solve for all of these problems. Like it's very easy to say that hey, governance is a problem, but when you actually start solving for governance, you'll start scratching your head saying, oh my god, I don't know what is to be really solved. Like how do I improve voter apathy? And unless you experiment, we'll probably not go anywhere. We made the mistake of building the wrong tools on our own. I in fact remember those days when we made DAO Lens 100% decentralized. That was day one, and it was the biggest mistake I ever made. So we forcefully like took back everything in our country, because if we would have let decentralization kick in that day, we would probably have gone nowhere. People were coming and saying, let's build a game, let's
Yeah.
build an community. And we were like, okay, we did not start with that idea. DAOs are dealing with a zillion tools. Can you make playbooks for somebody who's starting a new DAO to replicate what Nouns has been able to do? In fact, our work with Gitcoin, and I spoke about it at Shelling Point over a panel, it was precisely that. It was like, hey, you should be able to choose how to replicate Bitcoin's grand management thing for your own DAO. And you should be having these blocks like, I want milestone payouts, I want upfront payouts, I want whatever. And the dev should be able to replicate that. So, could you create a standard that everybody could use, right? Like, so a lot of these thoughts that keep going into our head. Uh, but yeah, I should
Yeah.
stop speaking
No,
now.
this is awesome. No, I can hear the passion for this work and this design and everything you put together here. And I appreciate you taking the time here and running through the product with us. I thought this was the best way to get exposure to DAO Lens for Aavegotchi DAO. And I appreciate, 27 people in here listening in. We also have this live stream to the Aavegotchi DAO YouTube account. Go check that out. Give them a follow. We have no subscribers yet, but this was the first live stream to Aavegotchi DAO, and so we'll be putting more content up there for Aavegotchi DAO related content consumers. But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out here. I appreciate you guys taking the time here to show us everything. And any closing remarks? Any if someone's looking to get in touch with you, you said Twitter was the best place.
Twitter, Telegram, of course, like I'm active both the places. Vix_rum is me everywhere.
And now the last question. Actually, I have two last questions. My last question is, when are you guys getting your gotchis, your Aavegotchis? Because we gotta hook you guys up now. Help you get your Aavegotchis.
Very soon, very soon. Amanek is. I was just chatting with Amanek earlier today about exactly the same thing. So very soon, I promise you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, let us know when you're going to do that. We can definitely help you out, selecting that and whatnot. And the second question I had actually was regarding the UI. I know some people in the audience are thinking this. When dark mode? Are we going to be getting a dark mode with DAO Lens V2?
Yeah, that's like a low hanging fruit, but unfortunately, we have not yet prioritized it because there are like way many more significant
Yeah.
things, honestly, that we have
Totally.
not tapped. It's just that, but I get it, right? Like, so what we are thinking of doing is, because it's browser based, at least start supporting the functionality to like let it respond to whatever settings you have for your system.
Yeah.
So if you're on a MacBook and you have like dark experience chosen, it will automatically like work that way. But we do not really have any plans of doing dark mode. Though that said, we have started working with a gaming guild, and game UIs look pathetic if they are in white. So that version of DAO is in dark from day one. And what we are trying to do basically for those gaming guilds are like there are like over 1,000 gaming clans in that community, and we just want to ensure that these gaming clans they can recruit more and more gamers, and they're like competing. A group of clans form a DAO, and these DAOs compete with each other.
Yeah.
And, so there is like I think that's the genesis of the dark mode. It will eventually end up propping up here. I'm myself a big fan of dark mode, trust me. So it's gonna happen
Yeah.
one of those days. We'll just wake up and say that okay, let's do it.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you guys. Everything that you're doing here is amazing, and I'm just completely blown away by this tool. We've been searching for something more comprehensive as a solution, and I think this starts a conversation around DAO lens and starting to experiment with it within Aavegotchi DAO. So yeah, I
I'm
appreciate you guys. We'll keep in touch, and definitely everybody in here, if you have questions for either Amanek or Vix, please reach out to them, and definitely check out Dowland. Set up your profile. We
please
appreciate your
do.
time.
Thank you. Thank you. It was like you were almost like sitting right next to me throughout, which you were virtually, but I am so glad it makes my life a lot easier because when I'm trying to present on a screen and it just helps to hear that voice. Otherwise, it becomes a monologue. So thank you so much for being such a good host. And thank you for organizing this. Like, I love the number of people here. And I hope to like have some good conversations. I met like quite a lot of people. I made friends in Aavegotchi. I have to say that at Eat Denver. I like I your sweaters were like all over. Like it's like oh that I know that person. This is from Aavegotchi. So brilliant move there. But yeah,
Yeah, well, it was good meeting you in Denver, and we'll probably see you guys again there next year. So.